يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O you who have believed, لا تقربوا الصلاة, do not approach the salah. Do not approach the prayer. وأنتم سكارى, while you are intoxicated. Don't perform the salah while you are in the state of intoxication, while you are drunk. We learn that in the early period of Islam, alcohol or intoxicants, because alcohol is a type of intoxicant, right? Intoxicants were not prohibited immediately, but rather the prohibition, it was given in stages. The first command that came down regarding this was what we learned in Surah Al-Baqarah, that يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ, they ask you about alcoholic drinks and gambling. And when this ayah was revealed, the Prophet ﷺ recited this ayah to Umar radiallahu anhu, who said, "O Allah, explain the ruling about khamr for us in a plain manner." Because what was mentioned in that ayah? That there is benefits, but there is also loss. So Umar radiallahu anhu wished that the ruling concerning intoxicants would be given more clearly. When this ayah was revealed, which is Surah An-Nisa, ayah 43, the Prophet ﷺ recited it to Umar radiallahu anhu, who still said, "O Allah, explain the ruling about khamr for us in a plain manner." And after that, what happened? The next ayah was revealed, which is in Surah Ma'idah, ayah number 90. That يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ وَالْأَنصَابُ وَالْأَزْلَامُ رِجْسٌ مِّنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Clearly the word فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ has been used, that stay away from it. Don't indulge in it. Don't use it. So we see that the prohibition, it was given in stages. Why? Because the people, it was their culture. It was a very big part of their culture. So therefore, it was given in stages. So the second ayah that was revealed with regards to the prohibition, the second stage was this ayah, that when you are in the state of intoxication, then don't go near salah. Don't pray salah. Now for a true believer, what is important to him? Salah. And if he's drunk, will he be able to pray? No. And when a person drinks, then the effect of intoxication is on him for some time. And we know that there are 5 salawats in one day. So, with this, what happened was that many people, they reduced or they completely stopped indulging in intoxicants. But there were some people who still continued. And after that, the final prohibition was revealed in the next surah that we will study, inshallah. We learned that some people, they left alcohol altogether when the first command came down. When they saw that there is more harm, what did they do? They left it altogether. But there were some people who still continued. And because of intoxication, that would also affect their salah. And we learned that some people, they made major mistakes in their salah. For example, we learned that Ali bin Abi Talib, he said that Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he made some food to which he invited us and served some alcohol to drink as well. When we became intoxicated and the time for prayer came, they asked someone to lead us in prayer. And he recited one of the surah, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, in a way that was completely incorrect. It was a major mistake. Why? Why did he do that? Because of intoxication. When this incident occurred, then this ayah was revealed that when you're drunk, then don't pray salah. What does it mean? That don't drink around the time of salah. Because for a true believer, his alcohol is not more important to him, his salah is more important to him. And we learned that after this ayah was revealed, the Prophet ﷺ, he had people appointed at the door of the masjid who would proclaim that let not any drunk approach the prayer. So every person who was coming into the masjid was in a way checked. Is he drunk or is he not drunk? Obviously, this was difficult for the Muslims. So with this, many people, they either completely stopped or they reduced. And then eventually, the final prohibition was sent down. So, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who have believed. Notice the address. Iman. If you're truly believers, then you have to follow this. You have to observe this. And if you don't, that's a deficiency in your Iman. O believers, لا تقربوا الصلاة. Don't approach the prayer. What does it mean by this? Don't approach the prayer. This is understood in two ways. First of all, that do not prepare to perform the salah while you are in the state of intoxication. What does it mean, first of all? That don't prepare to perform the salah. What is included in preparing for salah? Wudu, going to the masjid for men. So, لا تقربوا الصلاة also gives a sense of don't even come to the masjid while you are intoxicated. And second, it has been said that لا تقربوا الصلاة, what it means is that do not perform the prayer. Don't pray the salah. وأنتم سكارى, while you are intoxicated. Sukara is a plural of sakran. It is a plural of sakran, from the root letter sin kaf ra. And sakran is one who is drunk, one who is intoxicated. Basically, sakara yaskuru is to shut or to close a path. What is it? It is to close a path, to close a roadway. So just imagine a road, a corridor, an alleyway, a street that has been blocked, that has been closed. If you're driving, can you drive through that obstruction? No, you can't. So it is something that is going to prevent you from going further. What happens when a person is drunk? The intoxication, what does it do? It obstructs his mind from functioning properly. Correct? It obstructs his mind from functioning properly. It does not enable him to speak correctly, to walk properly, to talk properly. So there's a big hindrance between a person and his comprehension, between a person and his understanding. And remember that a person can be in this state not just because of drinking wine, but because of any intoxicant, any drug, anything that will overcome his mind. So antum sukara, while you are in the state of intoxication. Why? Because when a person is in this state, he doesn't know what he's saying, he doesn't know what he's doing. So if you pray salah in this state, what's going to happen? You're going to make major mistakes, which could be against you. حَتَّى تَعْلَمُوا مَا تَقُولُونَ, until you know what you're saying. Until you know what you're saying. Meaning, don't pray until you know what you're saying. Until you have regained your consciousness, in other words. And حَتَّى تَعْلَمُوا مَا تَقُولُونَ, meaning you know what you're saying, is understood in two ways. First of all, you know what you're saying, meaning the words that you're saying, lafzan. You know the alfaz that you're uttering. You know the words that you're speaking. So basically, you know the words of salah. And secondly, ma taqulun is also understood as that you know the ma'na, you know the meaning of what you are saying. It's understood in both ways. What does it show to us? That knowing the words of salah alone is not enough. Knowing the meaning of the words of salah is also very important. Because you could be reciting the salah, you could be saying the words of salah, but you have no idea what they mean. And if you have no idea about what they mean, what's going to happen? If you make a major mistake, will you be able to tell? No, you're not going to be able to tell. So حَتَّى تَعْلَمُوا مَا تَقُولُونَ, this is a condition. Until you know what you're saying. From this, we also learn that if a person is in a state that he does not know about what he's saying, then he should not pray at that time. Like, for example, we learned that the Prophet ﷺ said, if one feels sleepy while he is praying, then let him sleep for a while so that he knows the meaning of what he is saying. If you're overcome by sleep, and as a result of that, you don't know if you prayed one rak'ah or you've just finished Surah Fatiha, and sometimes a person is so sleepy that they go to the sajda and they just stay there. So if a person is overcome by sleep so much, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? That then he should sleep for a while so that he knows the meaning of what he is saying. Now this doesn't mean that you delay Isha until bedtime, until very late, and you say, oh, I'm so sleepy, so let me sleep for a few hours. And then let me wake up in the middle of the night or at Fajr time and then pray my Salah Qada. No, that is not appropriate. Obviously, if you're very sleepy, then what choice do you have? But you should try to avoid it in the first place. I mean, this command is not being given so that we have an excuse to do whatever we want and not pray. This is not why this command is being given. This command is being given so that we refrain from doing those things that are going to obstruct us from praying salah properly, whether it is alcohol or anything else. And the Prophet ﷺ said, he continued in the hadith, that for he might want to ask for forgiveness but instead curses himself. That a person in his salah, he might be intending to say words of seeking forgiveness, but he's actually cursing himself because he doesn't know about what he's saying. So from this we learn that first of all, a person should pray in the state of full consciousness and alertness, and anything that could become an obstruction in his khushu' of salah, he should stay away from that. Now sometimes, like for example for those people, it was alcohol. Now that's forbidden. How about doing something that is completely lagh, that is going to overcome your mind so much that you're thinking about that even in your salah? Like for example, watching a movie, and not just before you pray, because for some people the effect is there for like a week, 2 weeks. They're so emotionally affected by what they watch that that's what they're thinking about, that's what they're imagining, and that's fantasy. It's fiction. Complete fiction. Has no reality whatsoever. And even if it's based on a true story, there's so many false things that it's far from reality. But anyway, so a person should stay away from anything that will obstruct him from concentrating in his salah. Similarly, if a person is praying in a place where people are talking, where people are eating, they're chatting, they're busy with their work, and you're praying in the middle, are you going to be focusing on the words of salah, or are you going to be focusing on their conversations? Now a person might say, oh no, they should be quiet. Well, you should go pray in a place that is appropriate, unless if you can't find any place at all. Similarly, we also learned from this part of the ayah that a person should know about the meaning of salah. Because what does Allah say? حَتَّى تَعْلَمُوا مَا تَقُولُونَ. You should know about what you're saying. Know the meaning of salah. Not just the words, but also the meaning of the words. Because it's possible the person makes a major mistake and he doesn't realize. Then Allah says, وَلَا جُنُبًا. And nor as ones who are sexually impure. وَلَا, this is connected with لَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةَ. Do not approach the salah. Meaning, and do not approach the place of salah. And what is that place? The masjid. Or وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةَ, meaning, and do not perform the salah. In what state? In the state of janaba, as being junub. Junub is ism jins. It looks like a plural, and it can also be used for a singular word. And junub is someone who is in the state of impurity. Who is in the state of impurity, state of uncleanliness. What does it mean by that? That there is filth on his body? He's very dirty, hasn't showered for weeks? Is that what this means? No. This means that he is in a state in which he needs to take a ghusl, he needs to take a bath in order to resume worship. That for prayer, wudu alone is not sufficient. Like for example, if you break your wudu, all you have to do is just do wudu again and pray. But in some other states, a person has to take a bath and then he can pray salah. And janaba literally means bu'd. And what does bu'd mean? Distance. To make a thing remote. So when a person is in this state, he is far, he is distanced from what? From ibadah, in particular, salah. So what is the state in which ghusl is fard? Taking a bath is obligatory. That wudu alone is not enough in order to become clean to pray salah, but a person has to take a bath. What are these states? First of all, after sexual intercourse. And it's not just sexual intercourse, but just the mere contact of sexual organs even, whether or not there was actual intercourse or not, but just the mere contact of the sexual organs even means that a person must take a bath. Secondly, this also applies to after having a wet dream. After having a wet dream. And what is that? That a person, when he wakes up, he finds himself having ejaculated some sexual discharge in his sleep. So if a person wakes up in this state, whether man or woman, they have to take a bath before praying the salah. Thirdly, janaba also applies to hayd, meaning when a woman is in the state of menstruation. So upon the completion of hayd, she has to take ghusl. Like we learned earlier, فَإِذَا تَطَهَّرْنَا, right? When they have taken a ghusl. So, thirdly, what does it refer to? A woman in the state of menstruation. Fourthly, nifas. What is nifas? Postpartum bleeding. That when a woman gives birth, then she bleeds for some time, and the maximum of that is about 40 days. So, upon the completion of the nifas, when a woman becomes clean, what does she have to do? She has to take a ghusl in order to pray salah. So what are the 4 states of janaba? After sexual intercourse. Secondly, a wet dream. Thirdly, the completion of hayd. And fourthly, the completion of nifas. Now you see that the first 2, they are in a person's control. How? That he can take a bath whenever he wishes. Alright? But the other 2, in the case of a woman who is menstruating, who is in the state of nifas, does she have control over when her period ends and when her nifas ends? She doesn't have control over. Therefore, the word janaba, yes, it does apply to all 4. However, the rulings concerning all of these 4 states are not always the same. Remember this rule. The rulings concerning all of these 4 states are not the same. So yes, although the word junub has been used over here, but it doesn't necessarily refer to the woman who is in state of menstruation or nifas. Okay? Remember that. So, wala junuban, and also do not approach the place of salah. Meaning, do not approach the masjid. When? In the state of janaba, in the state of sexual impurity. And as you know that a person, after sexual intercourse, and he has to take a bath in order to enter the masjid. But a woman who is menstruating, her menstruation is not in her control. So if she has to go to the masjid to learn, to study, then is she not going to go? She is going to go. As long as she takes care that nothing of the filth is left over there. Because there are other ahadith, other statements from which support for that can be taken. So, wala junuban, and nor as sexually impure, illa except abiri sabil, ones who cross the way. Abiri is actually abirina, which is the plural of abir. And abir is from ubur, ain bara. Ubur is to cross. So abir is one who crosses, one who passes through. So don't come to the masjid in the state of janaba, except as ones who are just passing through the masjid. Abiri sabil, you're just crossing the way. Hatta taghtasilu, until you take a bath. Taghtasilu is from ghusl, ghain, sin, lam. What does ghusl mean? To take a bath. And ightasala, yaghtasilu is to wash. It's not just to wipe your hand over. Ghusl doesn't mean that you just wet your hand and you pat all over your body and make your body wet. It's to flow water over. Doesn't mean you stand in the shower for 20 minutes. But what it means is that you have to flow water over your body. So, hatta taghtasilu, until you take a bath. And when you have taken the bath, then you may go to the place of salah. Because la taqrabu salah. So, then you may go to the place of salah. Now, we see over here that the Muslims are being forbidden from going to the masjid in the state of janaba. And they can only pass through the masjid if they need to. Now, why would a person need to pass through the masjid? We see that some men from the Ansar, their doors, the doors of their houses, they literally opened into the masjid, into the courtyard of the masjid. Literally. Imagine the courtyard of the masjid, and some men, the doors of their houses opened into the courtyard of the masjid. Now, if they were in the state of janaba, and if they had to take a ghusl, they needed water. There were no taps at that time. So for that purpose, they would have to cross the masjid. Now what do? Allah says over here, La taqrabu salata. Do not go near the place of salah. What does it mean by that? You can't even go through? No. إِلَّا عَابِرِ سَبِيلٍ, except as ones who are just crossing, who are just passing through. So if you have to pass through, then that's okay. And we learned that before the death of the Prophet ﷺ, he commanded that all the doors be closed except the door of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He said, close all the doors in the masjid except that of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Why? Because he was going to be the Khalifa. So the doors of their houses, they literally opened into the courtyard of the masjid. They would have to pass through. See what a public place the masjid was? Just imagine, next door is masjid. This is how close they were to the masjid. Hearing the adhan. And we know that Salama, what did she say? That she memorized Surah Qaf how? By listening to the Prophet ﷺ reciting the surah every Jumu'ah in the khutbah. So this is how close they were to the masjid. So what do we learn over here? That in the state of janaba, a person may not enter the masjid except if he is only passing through. And remember, janaba over here applies to who? The first two cases. Alright? The one who is in the state of sexual impurity because of sexual intercourse or because of a wet dream. Because a woman in the state of menstruation, the state of nifas, she doesn't have control over her impurity. So therefore, the same ruling does not apply to her.